And the cash and transit sector is calling on the South African National Defence Force to assist in curbing heists. Since the beginning of this year to August 2023, over 200 robberies have been reported in the country. The latest happened in KwaMashu. This is over a week ago, which culminated in a shootout, leaving 4 suspected armed robbers dead. The defence expert, Dean Wingrin, joining us now to chat more about this particular call, particularly coming from the companies, Dean, that are transporting cash in South Africa. They have called for the assistance of the armed forces in South Africa. Is this a good call?
Thank you and good morning. Yes, the rate of cash in transit heists is certainly going to be increasing as we go towards the Christmas season and the end of year. And I really do have sympathy for the various cash in transit companies in the monumental task that they have in securing our cash. But I think the call for the army is, well-meaning, I believe a little bit misguided. And I don't believe the army is the best people to be calling upon in this instance.
Yeah. Why do you believe that this call is misguided? For example, the CEO of Fidelity publicly calling on the military deployment in order to mitigate the CIT heist. He says the industry needs support from government in addressing these increasing attacks.
There's no doubt that they need the support of the government. But the support they need is mainly from the South African police services. I believe this should be mainly in an intelligence-led operation, which falls under the police competencies. Mm-hmm. Whether the police are competent to undertake that at the moment is another discussion. But it's not the core mandate of the Defence Force to provide internal policing. The Defence Force is there to defend and protect the Republic, its territorial integrity, and its people. And the way it goes about doing that is very different to the way that an internal policing function would function. The army is already overstretched. There's only about 35,000 odd soldiers in the Defence Force out of a total of just over about 65,000 people. And these uniform members, they are already tasked with a number of international deployments, regional deployments, such as supporting the UN mission in the DRC. They are supporting the SADC mission in Mozambique. They are involved in border patrol. And even ESCOM has got in on the action, and the army is having to provide security staff at various ESCOM power stations. So not only are these troops already on missions, you also have to have spare troops that are in training to relieve those troops that are currently on duty. And those troops that are on duty then also have to rotate for some downtime and then go back into the training cycle, which leaves very, very few soldiers available for other tasks. Yeah. And when you look at the cash in transit, it's nationwide. It's not a particular demographic area that they can concentrate and be in. It's the whole of South Africa. There's, I'm sure, hundreds of cash in transit deliveries every day. And there's just not enough soldiers that to accompany each and every one of those deliveries, as well as providing reaction and support.
And I thought that what you've just mentioned now, providing support and reaction, perhaps that's what they are referring to, because the police minister has been talking in the last few days about how police work nowadays, which is mostly driven by intelligence, they will likely be able to pick this up. But the problem is that the criminals are heavily armed, and so you sort of need to meet that firepower with even heavier firepower. Could the army not be able to assist in that regard, or is it because of purely the lack of specialized skills in policing that you really are saying, no, the army is a no-go area?
Well, there's two answers, or 2 points I'd like to make. The one is that I firmly believe that many of these cash and transit gangs, they have people, members in them who are ex-military, either South African Defence Force or other neighbouring countries, and that is why they you find more and more that these cash and transit heists involve explosions and heavy weapons. And the tactics that are used have been learned from the military. But the problem with it's not just calling in the army. I also believe you'll probably have to call in the Air Force as well, because you would need helicopter support in order to get those reaction forces to the scene of the incident very quickly. And the Army, the Defence Force, is being tasked to do more and more duties to support more and more failing government departments. But they're not being given the necessary resources and the budget in order to fulfill these additional duties. And that is why you're now starting to see that the Air Force is not able to maintain as many aircraft, as many helicopters to be available, because the money is not there to do the maintenance and the maintenance contracts. So they're feeling the pinch, and I don't believe that there's enough helicopters available that will be able to assist and transport these troops. The few helicopters that are available have already been earmarked for these other regional deployments in Mozambique, in the DRC, where there's not enough of them as it is. And that's also another reason why I don't think the Defence Force would be able to assist. The police already has reaction sort of units. They are well equipped. And as you say, it's a matter of prevention. And if you cannot prevent, then a timely intervention from the reaction units, which the police should be capable of.
Yeah. I don't think I can push any further, Dean, around the SANDF being deployed here based on what you have said. So let's talk about the police units that could help out in this, and I'm going to name them. There's about 3: the Special Task Force, the Tactical Reaction Team, and the National Intervention Unit for tactical work. These units, these are specialized units within the police. If they are not being deployed to try and deal with this, why do you think that is the reason, when it is clear that these crimes are escalating?
Well, I believe a few years ago there was a greater input and emphasis by the top management of the police in order to assist the security companies and to make a concerted effort to stop these cash in transit heists. And I think over the last year or 3, that emphasis has slipped, and the will of the police, I don't think is there anymore. And I think that is where the frustration from these security companies is coming from in the call for the army, is because they've had these interactions with the police. The police haven't been forthcoming in alleviating this increasingly violent heists. You see them blocking off roads for half an hour or more with no response from the police. And I think these security companies, as much as they're providing additional security, the security companies also have their own air support. But it's expensive and it's very resource intensive.
Yeah.
And I think they're just not getting the buy-in from the police to assist them.
Final question to you. There is the suggestion that how the criminals are able to intercept these vehicles as they deliver cash is partly because they get intelligence from people within the companies that deliver cash. How responsible are they, or how do they deal with this? Because clearly there is an element of an inside job here.
Yeah, I've got no doubt that there will be those occasions, and it's just the nature of the game that the security companies, they cannot vet each and every one of their staff 100% as much as they try. And once again, it comes down to intelligence and using technology. And in order to drive these investigations and try and prevent it, certainly there's a responsibility on the security companies of vetting their staff. And it's not a one-time vetting when the people are employed. It's a continuous process.
Yeah.
And but it still needs the cooperation at a very high level within the police. As you say, there's at least 3 units that can react. But it shouldn't get to that stage. The intelligence competency should be there to prevent these. And there have been 1 or 2 successes, but there certainly needs to be more effort in that direction.
Defense expert Dean Wingrin, thank you very much for weighing into this particular conversation. He's very clear that the South African National Defence Force is overstretched, underfunded, and they simply cannot afford another deployment.